Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's back on Sunday nights. GT3 action here on Simsport Racing, the place to race. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and I'm joined once again by Steve Proudley, and we have a visitor into the commentary box. We'll actually introduce him. He's a regular here on Simsport Racing. Let's welcome along 𝗟𝗜𝗞𝗘. Good evening, gents. How are we?
Good evening. Yeah, good to be back on a Sunday evening. I've had a few Sundays off recently, as you well know, Alex, doing other duties, learning other skills, but yeah, you can't beat getting back to some good old GT3 racing at what is a fantastic, good old British track. Oulton Park, one of my favourites. Very tight, very twisty, and it's going to be very, very difficult for the guys to overtake this evening. They're going to have to be very precise with anything they try to do round here. But one man that does know all about Oulton Park and being precise is this man, Mr. 𝗟𝗜𝗞𝗘. Welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, the one word you don't think of when you think of me is precise. But no, it's great to be here, guys. Thank you for having me along today. And yes, this would have been the third time at Oulton Park in the last couple of weeks since the DLC came out. So it's nice to be on this side of the fence for once and just watch everyone else and all the action just, fall about in front of us.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be great, isn't it, Alex? I mean, the championships, it's turning into a bit of a titanic battle up at the front. We've got some pretty quick guys out there. I mean, I think tonight it's going to be very interesting because I think this will be one of the tightest tracks of the season, won't it, Alex?
Yeah, just over 2.692 miles. Ross McGregor won last time out at Zandvoort. It was quite funny when I knew of a term that David said, well, what was that term you said again? The Grand Chelem, where you take pole position, fastest lap, and you take the victory. Michael O'Brien, who's actually not with us this evening, he took second after a very big turn one incident, which I know that Aaron doesn't really want to speak about, and we'll not go on to that, my friend. But
thank you.
The thing is that you're still racing with us, which is the main thing, which is a good thing. Simon Crane, the points leader, rounds out the top three ahead of Regan Mitchell. Charlie Crosland completed the top five ahead of Stephen Haley. Rich Smiths, Roberto Santoro, Dean Riley, and Dave Hedges rounded out the top 10. And Sebastian Totolonero was our AM class winner down in 12th position. He was behind Jeffrey Wolf. You had 𝗏𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗏𝗏, Miles Dixon, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏. And then you had the likes of 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Simon Crane comes into this round, the penultimate round of the season, before we head to the 2-hour race, the season finale at Mount Panorama in just a couple of weeks' time. Simon Crane leads Charlie Crossland by exactly 100 points. Regan Mitchell is a further 4 points adrift in third. Ross McGregor, who hasn't completed the full season due to illness a bit earlier on, he's in fourth place, just a point ahead of Rich Smith, with Miles Dixon, Simon Crane's teammate, just a further point adrift in sixth place. Then it's Dean Riley, Dave Hedges, 𝗖𝗢𝗏𝗡𝗘, Roberto Santoro, Adam Isalovic, Karolis Sipavicius, Michael O'Brien, Stephen Haley, Jeffrey Wolf, Martin Dagala, Lucas Sentalis, Luke Hanlon Fitzgerald, Stain Paspon, and Tom Smith rounding out the top 20. Let's have a look at the team standings as well. If we can, just to give you an idea, Pulse Simsport, that's an absolutely gargantuan lead, nearly 100, and that's 169 points between them and Simsport Esports in the pair of Mercedes AMG Evo GT3. Simsport Racing rounds out the top three. 1001 Racing by SimCoach 101 in fourth, ahead of Sim Racing Legends, Shumi Get Well Soon, Give It Gas Racing, Team Cube Racing, 𝗏𝗏𝗡 Motorsport, Brandel Racing, Apex Predator, Lost Jaguar, Wild Things, and Scuba Racing Team. Now, Aaron, this is a very, very tight and demanding circuit. 2.692 miles, 17 corners. We did see in the GT4 side of things this past Wednesday that it isn't always plain sailing. And as Steve said, it's a very tight and technical circuit here at Oulton Park.
Yeah, I mean, for these drivers here tonight, qualifying is going to be absolutely paramount. I mean, just getting good positioning will help you kind of preserve those tires, and not always the fastest laps is going to give you that success you need. It's always going to be about who can be consistently preserving their tires, because there are no mandatory pit stops here because it's 60 minutes. So it's who can best look after their car, who can be aggressive but not over aggressive, and who can find a time without really scrubbing those curbs.
Okay, yeah, I mean, so yeah, what you're saying there is obviously they're going to have to start avoiding some of those curbs, because obviously it's going to affect tyre pressures. But I think what we need to do is maybe just go to a hot lap and see what it takes to actually try and put a decent time in around Oulton Park tonight. So yeah, let's all sit back and just enjoy a hot lap.
We're on board the Ferrari 488 GT3 around the 2.692 mile Oulton Park International Circuit, across the start-finish line to go on the hot lap. Now it's the braking zone down from fifth to third gear, through Old Hall, down the avenue, through into Denton's, before the dip down into the left-hand sweeper at Cascades. Wrestling with the back end of the car, dropping it down to third gear at about 150 kilometres an hour, out of the apex, through Lakeside, now into the next sweeping left-hander known as Island Bend, before you have the climb up the hill towards Shell Oil's corner, which then has a tight inside camber to the right-hand side. Down the gears once again, through into first this time, now putting on the power as we make our run down towards Britain's. Down from fourth through into second, just under 100 kilometres an hour on both apexes. Now putting the power down once again, going down Hilltop in the rundown to both Hislops and Knickerbrook. Down from fourth gear into second, neatly hitting the apexes on both the right and the left before the right-hander at Knickerbrook. And then it's up Clay Hill towards Water Tower under the Oulton Park Bridge. Then down into the right-hander, the penultimate right-hander on the circuit, Druids Corner. And then it is the run towards Lodge Corner before the dip through Dearleap, which brings us back onto the start-finish line. Down the gears, back once again into second, carry the car through the corner, let it drift out to the left hand side, over through Dearleap, and that's a hot lap here at Oulton Park International. Qualifying now underway here at Oulton Park, the international circuit, 2.629 miles, 4.307 kilometres, 17 turns. And what's even more surprising here, well, Steve, there's plenty of sunshine on the track at the moment, 17 degrees air temperature and 23 degrees track temperature. That's really going to help the drivers put in their hot laps rather quickly. But talking about this circuit being tight and technical, having a good setup and a good agility on the car, depending on the drivetrain differentiations, you know, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, rear engine, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. There's so many different combinations, but it looks like the mid-range, the mid-engine cars might have that little bit of an advantage in certain parts of the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a bit. I won't say a leveler, but I mean, it's not one of your high-speed circuits, is it? You know, it's a good old British track, where, as we were saying, it's a good setup. It's consistency. It's about being careful as much as it is about pushing hard, as Aaron sort of alluded to earlier. You know, there are curbs you can run over. There are curbs that you just want to give a little bit more respect to, because if you start losing those tyre pressures, let's not forget it's a 60-minute race this evening. There is no mandatory pit stop. So at the end of the day, you know, anybody that has to pit because they've destroyed the tyres or they've got a puncture, which happens when you start hitting those curbs hard, it's lost time completely. Nobody else is going to have to pit, so that, you know, that's it. You know, your race is pretty much over at that point. So yeah, it's going to be good to watch such as the Porsches, and we're just looking at the Honda now. I think they are going to do quite well. You know, the Porsche especially. I mean, as we just see the Honda there, just lost it a little bit onto the grass. But the Porsche is going to be a good one. I mean, that's really quick out the corners. It on the faster circuits, it loses out on the top speed, but that's not going to be an issue for it tonight, I don't think, Alex.
No, at the moment, the initial benchmark time set by Charlie Crossland in the 66 of 1:33.471. Then it's Dean Riley in the number 22 with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 That's Apex Predators' very own Yannick Muller in the 143, Ross McGregor in the number 15 Bentley, then Miles Dixon, Regan Mitchell, Lucas Sentalis, Roberto Santoro, and Marcus Stein rounding out the top 11 as Adam Isalovic goes up into P10. Aaron, you know, and one of the things that Charlie actually has a bit of credence because he's actually won a next level racing event here at Oulton Park. And Aaron, we know that Charlie's quick and he is starting to get a bit more consistent in his racing credentials. You know, we know he's quick out of the box in terms of the qualifying lap, but he's started to get things together now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's always at that pace. He's young, he's enthusiastic. You know, he wants to be the best. He wants to be out in first, and I think patience will come with age with Charlie. But he is having to fast track that, like we're seeing here today. He is winning a lot of series, and a lot of championships, a lot of special events. He does have that pace, and I expect him to do really well here, especially because he's second in the championship currently, and he's got a big 100-point gap to first place Simon Crane. So he's got to actually really do well here, and hope that Simon Crane doesn't do so well. But Simon Crane has also been very, very consistent in this championship so far.
Yeah, in the meantime, Ross McGregor and Dean Riley have started winding up the wicks on their respective Bentley and Mercedes cars. Looks like Rich Smith has gotten up in there as well. Top 4 covered by just under 6/10 as we're on board with Richard Pixley in the lovely livery Jaguar that was provided by Denise Pope. The tribute to the Silk Cup Jaguar Classic, like the XJR15s from the 1990s. But with the top 8 at the moment, Steve, covered by just over a second, things are going to get tighter as this qualifying session gets towards the business end, because we've got just over 13.5 minutes to go. I think in the last 5 minutes of the session, we're really going to see the times ramp up as the track evolves.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's not forget as well, the track at the moment, it's not at its optimum state, so it's only at fast at the moment, so the more laps that the guys put in, the more rubber they put down, the faster the track will get. So with 13 minutes to go, I'm pretty sure we are going to see some improvements. Obviously, we're seeing some cars at the moment running very close together. They won't want to trip up over each other. They need to find their own space and really, give themselves room to apply their best laps and get their best times. But yeah, definitely faster times to come. The track is evolving, as are the guys. The more laps they put in during qualifying and just get a feel for the track and just really, get in rhythm with the car and the track, and those times will improve, and I think we may see a full switch round at the moment. I think most people will improve. I don't think anyone's probably done the best time at this stage in qualifying.
No, I think we could be close to hitting a sub 1 minute 33 because Charlie Crossland is 34 thousandths off of doing that. He's just put in a 1 minute 33.033. He's extended the gap to Ross McGregor to now just nearly 6/10 of a second. And the biggest thing is, we've talked about Charlie already here, Aaron. But it's just like now he knows that he's got this and one more round to get the opportunity. And Simon Crane is hasn't really set a respective lap. Well, he's set no lap time at the moment. This is his out lap. So Simon Crane now knows that the warning shot across the bow has well and truly been fired.
I mean, yes, essentially, and obviously Simon Crane's going to want to put in the best possible lap he can, but he's got a 100-point buffer, and I feel like if you don't have to push, Oulton Park would probably be the best track to not have to push, right? It's very narrow. These are GT3s, not GT4s, so respectively, they're a lot bigger. There's a lot less track to maneuver around if you're trying to battle as well. So I kind of feel like Simon Crane can just, I feel like he could take it easy. He probably wouldn't want to because he's a racing driver, but he could take this. He could take this opportunity to take it easy and maybe just let Crossland get up the points a little bit more, and then take the victory in the next round. That's how I feel like it's going to work out for Crane.
Yeah, it looks like Rich Smith's had a bit of an off-track excursion coming out of Old Hall. Someone's definitely decimated all the marker boards going through his lops, I think. Lucas Zentalis is running on his own tonight, so we've several drivers have signed out of tonight's proceedings. Carolis Supervicious, Kieran Vidago, Colin Turkington, who's testing his car for the beginning of the BTCC season next week, Dave Hedges, Michael O'Brien, Gant Randall as well, amongst other people. Jesper Peels is one of the two Honda drivers, I think. Mike Markstein down in 23rd, who was running at the bottom end of the top 10 initially. So this is where things are now going to start ramping up. We're getting into the halfway point of qualifying. Ross McGregor has started to get that Bentley a little bit faster, probably by just over a tenth. And at the moment, the top 10 are completed by Dean Riley, Rich Smith, Mantas Povilaitis in the Porsche, Regan Mitchell up to 6th, Lucas Zentalis in 7th, Yannick Muller in P8 ahead of Stephen Haley. Miles Dixon is the fastest of the Pulse Simsport cars at this particular moment in time. And I'm just having a look at... And Chris Pinchbeck, who was... he's about 6/10 up, so that could put him a little bit further up the road, and that is... Oh, that's a good lap there. Puts him P7, 1 minute 43.029, but that's nearly a second at the moment that completes the top 9, well, just over a second, Steve, and these drivers are not hanging around here at this circuit.
They're not, no, and those times are sort of, I mean, when you look from 5th down to 8th, we're talking thousandths of a second rather than even tenths. So they're very, very close times. The track has just flicked over to optimum, so the grip level is still increasing as we're just looking at the 738 Porsche. Now he's coming through into Knickerbrook, and he's going to go up Clay Hill, giving it the full beans, I have no doubt, at this stage, and trying to get a really good lap in. But the guys are pushing hard. We've seen closer qualifyings, I will say that, down to 32nd with 10 seconds off down there, but I mean, realistically, mid-20s, they're sort of 2.5 seconds off. Normally we would see, I don't know, the top 12, top 15 within a second, would you agree?
Yeah, I'd pretty much go with that, but this is a this is the tightest circuit that we've actually got here, and, some drivers have decided mid-campaign to change vehicles, such as our good friend Mr. Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗏, who switched from the BMW M6, I think, if memory serves me correctly, after Kyalami, and then when we went to Zandvoort a couple of weeks ago, he now changed to the Bentley. Keegan Welsh asks, is the British DLC out on ACC? It is on PC, not too sure if it's PS4 or console that you're asking about there, Keegan, but it's been out. Crikey, it's been out for close to a month now, the British DLC, if memory serves me correctly. Hello to Bobby Trundley, also to one of our GT4 commentators, David Ressel, who's watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, he says. Yes, that's very true. Also one thing you forgot there, David, don't forget about the notification bell. That's another big thing. Pitwall.live is for your live timing. But Aaron, what are your first thoughts with, how things are evolving with this qualifying session? Because we are seeing a lot of drivers really putting in the hot lap times now with 7.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there as well, Alex. It's first of all, the track conditions have changed from fast to optimum, so we should see those times drop even further. But second of all, I mean, these front engine cars, like Charlie's driving the 𝗏𝗏𝗡, I think they're much more friendly to curb banging, which is really what you have to do to extract the time here at Oulton Park. You've got to straddle them, you've got to hit them, and that's why I pay really big respects to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the Porsche. He's 6/10 up on his time. That car can be very, very skittish if you don't get it hooked up right. He's got it absolutely cracking at the moment. Put it up into P2 right now, 4/10, just under 4/10 behind Charlie Crossman. That's a great result for him, and I think that it's probably the best result he's had so far in qualifying in this championship.
Yeah, well, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 has actually got a pole position earlier on in the season. Kyalami, if memory serves me correctly. Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is about 4/10 up in the Bentley, formerly run by Team Parker, who have now switched to Porsche for 2021 after a long association with Bentley. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 goes up into P16, just behind Roberto Santoro. But Charlie Crossland, I did say, Steve, we could possibly see a sub 1 minute 33. Crossland has done that by just over 2/10.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Charlie, he's a dog with a bone when it comes to qualifying and hot lapping. He is the man that likes to be at the top of the timing chart, so he will push very, very hard, will Charlie, when it comes to the qualifying session. Equally as hard in the race, it has to be said, but he's learning a little bit of racecraft, he's learning a little bit of self-control, but it looks like the 𝗟𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗏 going to improve on his time, although I think Parker just lost a lot of time there coming through Lodge Corner, but it's P30 at the moment for Parker. And just going back to what Aaron said about 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the Porsche, yeah, I mean, I can concur that I spent a couple of hours one Saturday evening going around Oulton Park trying to tame the Porsche, and it is one of my favourite cars in ACC, but it is a beast round here. If you just overcook it, hit the curbs too hard, it just wants to swap ends with you. It is a very, very difficult car to drive around here very, very quickly, so hats off to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who's currently sat in P2, just 3.5 off the pole position time.
Right, Miles Dixon now currently half a second up. That's going to put him around P6 or P7, as long as he doesn't lose any time. 𝗖𝗢𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 comes over the line. He will be around 3/10 up, and he goes P17 ahead of Jack Young. Miles Dixon now comes across the line, P5. That's a brilliant lap time from the Bentley, a 1 minute 33.636. This is only getting started here right now, Aaron, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like supporting what I said. Like, if you look at maybe the top 6, one of them isn't front engined. And you can, and when you're driving a front engine car around Oulton Park, you can really like overstretch yourself, straddle the curbs, and it really won't unsettle the car. That's why I have huge respect right now for 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the Porsche, because to get that time, he's having to really ring it up. He's 3/10 up currently on his time, and this might be an absolute banger for him.
Yeah, he did lose a little bit of time in the final sector going through Ďearlippe and coming out of Lodge Corner, so we go on board with the number 738 Porsche. Through into the right-hander at Lodge Corner, and then it's through Ďearlippe. Now he's got to fully commit, runs the car as wide as he can without exceeding track limits, and he's lost time again through that sector. But let's see if he doesn't improve. That was actually a 1 minute 53.5 last time around, so all that hard work had just gone literally to nothing within the snap of a set of fingers. And Regan Mitchell, Steve, obviously one of the more regular guys, is the only one that in 3 seasons out of GT4 has decided to have the stones to go with the Maserati, but he's stuck with McLaren in GT3. He's doing pretty well in P7, but Dean Riley and Rich Smith rounding out the top. Well, you've got Riley, Dixon and Smith rounding out the top 6, covered by just under a second. Yeah, I think what Aaron said earlier, with these front engine cars, especially the Mercedes, the Bentley, they're really giving these other cars a run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys are doing a great job. I mean, it's like you say, the front engine cars, they can attack the curbs and whatnot. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is doing a great job in the Porsche, obviously in what is a difficult car to drive around here. And some of the cars that we normally see with the high speed advantage, that advantage is gone, and it is just down to precision. But I think more than the car's ability around the track tonight, I think Oulton Park is very much it's down to the driver. I mean, we've got Ross McGregor now 3/4 up on his lap time, so he's going to get a bit close to that pole time, and in fact he's on the front row of that provisionally with P2. But yeah, I think Oulton Park, it's not going to be as much about the car and more about the driver tonight, and that's going to really show. And I think some of the drivers' characters are going to show through, and by that I mean, the likes of Charlie Crossland, very, very quick lad, but can be prone to mistakes. And, you know, Charlie won't mind me saying that because he's got a track record. You know, he can throw things away very easily sometimes. You've got Ross McGregor, very hard charger, who can be consistent. And if he can manage to stay on the front row, I think Ross will be the man to watch. You know, as long as him and Charlie don't get tangled up at the beginning, Ross, I would have, at this moment in time, I would have Ross down for the win. Also,
Rich Smith now up by 2/10 at the moment, coming across the line in the 223, goes P5. Jack Young in the 900. Aston Martin, though, Aaron, has caught my attention. He's P6 at the moment. That's a great lap from him, putting him ahead of Miles Dixon, Regan Mitchell, Chris Pinchbeck, and Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗕𝗓, who completes the top 10.
Yeah, by far the fastest AM driver out there right now, Jack Young. I have to say, in the Aston Martin, probably if he's new to the game or he's new to this championship, I think it's probably a great all-round car to start with. And it's an absolutely flyer here, especially in wet conditions, which we don't have today, so surprisingly. But I have to say, great job from him. He's now P7, I think that's Haley. Just pipped in there to P6. That's a great job in the mid-engine of Ferrari there. But no, I'm going to keep my eyes on Aston Martin during the race. I think it's going to come good for him.
Yeah, Stephen Haley just pipped Jack Young to P6 by 9/1000ths of a second. And with just under a minute on the clock, Simon Crane is all the way down in 33rd position. Now the hard work for the points leader starts to begin right now. So he's going to come across the line. Goes P19. Solid effort there. That's a 1:34.743. But quickly, thanks to 𝗬𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗏𝗏, Crane now drops into 20th position. 𝗦𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 now looking to improve in the Nissan. He comes through dearly, coming out of Lodge Corner. Is the number 102 going to improve out of the top 10? Goes ahead of Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Evan Duffas in the number 74 Wild Things McLaren 720S. And he's a second up on his side. And he loses the back end. Oh, it steps out to the left-hand side. But he's up by a little bit. Goes slightly ahead of Jeffrey Wolf. Both Evan and Denise Pope are back this time around. Denise having taken part in the 24 hours of Kyalami 2 weeks ago. There were quite a few competitors, but Charlie Crossland is out again as the timer hits 0 here in qualifying. He is a 10th up, so he could push that Mercedes even further towards a 1:32.5 second lap time here at Oulton Park. Bumps up of the curbs going through his lops. Now that unsettled the back of it, but Ross McGregor is 2/10 up. He's going towards the line. Will McGregor get close? He does, within 48,000ths of a second on his final attempt. But Charlie Crossland, I think I think he might have just done enough, because that was Ross McGregor's last attempt. Crossland now making his way through. He's just exited Druids. He's going to come towards Lodge Corner. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 now half a second up on his final lap. Goes P14, second highest AM driver in this race, in this field. And Charlie Crossland goes across the line, does a 1:32.853 and loses the back end of the Mercedes. But he's done enough there. Aaron, that was so close. Ross McGregor, if he had found another 10th, Crossland would have found himself on the outside of row 1.
Well, not only that, but Crossland would have been fuming if he got beat to 4th position right there. I mean, he was up on his time there. We know Crossland, he lost a bit going into the second chicane, but I think this is huge for Charlie Crossland right now, because currently he's got 6 points in his license, which means he probably doesn't want to go battling with anybody else. He's on pole position, which means he can take 100% of his effort into just preserving his tyres, and I think he could take it to the end, barring that McGregor doesn't get too close behind him.
Yeah, now you remember what happened in round 1 of this championship, Steve? We had the slight coming together between Simon Crane and Ross McGregor, and that really showed how quickly it can change on the very first lap. And we see that all the time in multiple different championships using the ACC platform. I think one of the other things that we have to remember about Charlie Crossland, he's qualified for SimGrid Split 1, which starts on next Thursday, if memory serves me correctly, and is joining James Parker, and they're using the Mercedes. So Charlie is now starting to really gather that momentum as a racing driver and a known prospect within ACC. But the thing is, we've got a 60-minute sprint race. Guys, I can't predict a winner here.
Well, I'm still putting my money on Ross, to be honest. He's got great consistency, he's got great pace. As long as he can stay out of trouble, and Charlie's, if he can get the jump on Ross at the start, Charlie will be a difficult man to overtake. But I think Charlie around Oulton Park, it's going to be difficult to keep it clean, to keep it consistent. I mean, I think the big story of qualifying for me is Simon Crane down in 20th, the championship leader at the moment. Could argue he's got such a big lead in the championship. He just needs to keep everything clean, everything tidy, and just work his way through the field. There's not really too much pressure on him, but I think it'll hurt his pride a little bit to be down in P20, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Aaron, what about yourself?
I'm actually really looking forward to 𝗲𝗚𝗓𝗓𝗏, because you said before that he got pole position at Kyalami, but if you remember correctly, it turned out to be flooded at Kyalami, which didn't really suit the Porsche that well. It is fantastic weather here today at Oulton Park, and I really want to see what he can do with that Porsche. But also 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗏𝗏 in the Nissan, I believe is he just out of the top 10? He is. He's P11. Great car for low-end torque. He can power it out of those chicanes. I think that's going to be a great overtaking car for him, so hope to see him up in the top 10.
I think I'm going to throw another dark horse into the mix. Jack Young in the 900, qualifying P7, the highest placed AM driver on this grid, and 𝗬𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗏𝗏 down in P14. Niall Schleter, I must be honest here, Steve, I think that's one of his best performances in qualifying in GT3.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's Niall's done an awesome job to get up to P15 there, and that's the sort of thing that Oulton Park, tracks like Oulton Park, can throw up, because it is a driver's track. It's not a horsepower track. It's out and out precision, and just down to your ability to be consistent and hit those markers and get that lap in, as Aaron said right at the top of the show. You've got to be careful where you place the car. You've got to use as much of the track as you can without exceeding, and I think that's a fantastic qualifying session for him tonight. And just while we're talking about the track, I think that's one of the things that they're going to have to watch tonight, track limits. I mean, again, Aaron will probably know a little bit more about the track limits around Oulton Park than myself, but I mean, I'm sure you've found the boundaries many, many times, Aaron, and do you think, is it going to be difficult for these guys in the GT3 to avoid the drive-throughs tonight?
I think it is and it isn't, because you can take so much more of the track, arguably, than GT4. You may be more succumb to getting drive cuts or track cuts, but at the same time, like, if you're going to get a track cut, you're probably going to die because you're that far off the track. You know what I mean? There's not many places you can get a track cut at Oulton Park.
You don't mean to be melodramatic about this, but
no,
you
will. That curve is a cliff edge on the edge of the second chicane. Like, if you're there, you're in the wrong place anyway. So you're just not going to get. You're just not going to get any reward for that kind of driving, I don't think, today.
So you're probably going to feel a bit like a lemming going over that curve then.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's going to be the thing, though, isn't it, Alex? I mean, it's going to be the first few laps. It's going to be how much discipline can these drivers show, and how much respect will they show each other, and what opportunities are worth the risk. Because when they're going to be all bunched up and there is time to be made, places to be gained, it's going to be a higher risk, I would say, around here than a lot of the other tracks that the guys have raced on so far this season.
I think especially one of the biggest places for me where we could see a little bit of drama is going through the left-hand sweeper at Island Bend, and then you've got the gap in the barriers towards Shell Oils. And Steve and I were talking about a Rizla Suzuki that had a massive off and actually went over the barriers. And that's one part of the track that I think that we're going to see some dramas. Britain's the chicane on the other side of Shell Oils. That's another one that can cause problems. Hislop's Knickerbrook. But pretty much the whole circuit is like a minefield here. But we are 15 seconds away from the full rolling lap of the 2.692 mile circuit. Current points leader Simon Crane down in 20th position, but his closest competitor, Charlie Crossland, starts from pole position. And now, as they get on their way, we're going to go through the full grid from first to 33rd. So Charlie Crossland leads them away. He starts on pole position. Then it is Ross McGregor. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 will be on the inside of row number 2, and we'll have the number 223 from Simsport Solutions. That's Rich Smith. Dean Riley in the 22 Mercedes will have Stephen Haley in the number 24 Ferrari alongside Jack Young, the top qualifier in terms of AM rating here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Starts on the inside of row 4 in the 900 Aston Martin and has Pulse Simsport's number 94 Bentley of Miles Dixon alongside. Completing the top 10 is Regan Mitchell in the 69 McLaren and Chris Pinchbeck in the 43 Mercedes. Then it is Lucas Sentalis in the 102 Nissan with the number 666 of Mark Neutlings in the Bentley alongside completing row number 6 itself. Yannick Müller in the 143 Ferrari is joined by another Ferrari. This time it is 𝗬𝗏𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗏𝗧 in the 330. Row 8, it's Niall Schleter in the 37 Porsche with 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the 444 Lamborghini Huracan GT3 alongside Roberto Santoro and Martin Dargala in a pair of Ferraris 78 and 458 respectively on row 9. And completing the top 20, it's the Honda NSX GT3 Evo 229 of Jesper Peels with Simon Crane in the 53 Bentley alongside. 21st, it's Adam Misalovic in the 111 McLaren. Then it's Luke Hanlon Fitzgerald in the number 12 Ferrari. Ranjiv Kaussi, the apparent Simsport Racing equivalent to a Ferrari Works driver, so he claims in the 47 in 23rd place. Callum Cook in the number 25 Ferrari starts 24th ahead of the 902 Aston Martin of Rob Jackson. Then it's Richard Pixley in the number 7 Jaguar. Mike Markerstein in the number 17 Honda. Evan Daffas in the 74 McLaren. Jeffrey Wolf in the 86 Ferrari. Martin Owens in the 901 Aston Martin. Denise Pope in the 79 McLaren 720. Daniel Parker in the number 6 Jaguar. Tiras Dovidaitis in the number 32 Aston Martin is rounding out the 33 strong. Aaron, what are your thoughts? Are we going to get through the first lap clean and unscathed?
Absolutely not. That's not.
I love your sincerity about that one. I really do.
I mean, these guys are going to be pushing, really pushing hard. And like I said before, these are, exponentially bigger, I would say, than GT4 cars. So, the overtaking opportunities and the overtaking space is going to be a lot smaller. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of door banging at the very least. Hopefully, these guys can keep it clean because it does have a very kind of domino effect. If something happens at the front, you just get caught up in it, and it's a whole whirlwind from there.
Yeah, I completely understand that. But Steve, we're about to go racing here, 60 minutes. You looking forward to this one, mate?
Absolutely, mate. And all I've got to say is if Ranji's the Works Ferrari driver, he's got 6 other Ferraris in front of him, so I think he's got something to prove tonight.
Yes, well, ladies and gentlemen, 60 minutes on the clock here in Little Budworth in Cheshire. Are we ready? Are we steady? We're green. It's off and away we go down towards Old Hall for the first time. Good start by Crossland, gets ahead of Ross McGregor as it looks like there was a little bit of door banging on the second row, as there's already been one incident that was involving the number 7 Jaguar, and that would have been all the way down. That would have been Richard Pixley. So there's already been a slight coming together as there's cars off the circuit. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 going through the outside of Cascades, and it looks like we might already have a couple of automatic drive-throughs coming through, but there's still more door banging, and that's for third on the road. Bobby Lights is trying to go side by side with
that's
Riley.
fourth, mate. That's McGregor's down to third. I think it's Rich Smith that has overtaken him when they were coming down through Lakeside. I think Ross McGregor got a bad exit of Cascades, and Rich Smith didn't need asking twice.
No, not at all. It seems like Simon Crane is up to 17th. He's ended up off track, and Steve Haley's there. Jack Young rounding out the top 7. Miles Dixon in 8th. Regan Mitchell, Chris Pinchbeck round out the top 10. It's a lot cleaner than I would have anticipated for this first lap, but there's been a couple of coming-togethers here tonight on this very first lap. You did say that, Aaron, very sincerely, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I absolutely meant it. I mean, I've done 2 races here so far, and it's been absolutely carnage. But for the first couple of laps, so once everyone gets settled into the rhythm, and I think once you get that breathing space between the cars front and back, like you start to settle and you start to get that rhythm. And also we've got to bear in mind that the tire pressures will be coming up right now, so you will see the cars be skittish and they'll slide around a bit trying to get that power to the tarmac. But it'll all come together very soon in the next couple of laps.
Well, Charlie Crossland has already opened up a gap to Rich Smith. Steve, that's now 1.2 seconds. Crossland has already started doing the Sebastian Vettel impersonation in a GT3 car right now. But Rich Smith trying to close him down ever so slightly. And I know for a fact that when it's Mercedes versus Mercedes, we know how good Rich Smith is. We know how good Dean Riley is behind the wheel of these cars, and that's why the Simsport Solutions team decided to go for that, because they felt it complemented them rather well. But Ross McGregor, don't count him out of this yet, because you said to me earlier
Definitely
on,
not.
well, you said at the broadcast, that Ross McGregor is one that we need to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, Ross has had a bad start. You know, he was at the back end of that Bentley, looked very loose, and you know the tyres and things won't have been up to full optimum temperature.
Someone just span.
Just trying to push too hard. Who was that span?
Was that McGregor?
That was Ross McGregor. That's McGregor. Yep, so that's it. He's now given himself an absolute mountain to climb, as we're just waiting to see where he rejoins, and indeed he just rejoins in front of a fellow Bentley driver there, very, very close. But yeah, that's just this is all playing into Charlie Crossland's hands, and you know you compared him to Vettel. Well, let's hope he doesn't do what Vettel did at Hockenheim when he had no pressure applied to him and put it off the track. So it's all down to Crossland. He's got 1.8 seconds up the road. Rich Smith in second, with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 strong third place, Dean Riley in fourth, Haley up to fifth. We've got Young in sixth, Dixon in seventh, under pressure from Regan Mitchell in eighth, with Moller in ninth and Hinchbeck rounding out the top 10. So, as you say, a really good opening few laps from the guys. But yeah, Ross McGregor, what's going on? Ross is now down in P12.
That's definitely gone a bit south of the Scotsman there, but Charlie Crossland has already gone 1.2 seconds quicker than Rich Smith on that previous lap. He's 2.3 seconds, make that 2.8. We're now going to go to a replay, and this is from on the very first lap. They were nearly three abreast going through from Cascades down to Island Bend, and there's been a bit of a tag, and that looked to be Callum Cook, I believe, and there is one of the Aston Martins trying to get out of the way, possibly the 901, and there are cars everywhere. You said it was going to be carnage, Aaron. You're completely spot on the nose with that one, mate.
Oh, man. I mean, I try.
I think I've just heard that Stephen Haley's off, but yeah, I mean, as you were about to say there, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, Cascades is difficult in the first couple of laps because you have your braking marker, but you shouldn't be looking at where you want to brake. You should be looking at the guy ahead of you or aside of you, which is very easier said than done, I want to say. But it's a perfect opportunity to overtake if you have the confidence. Obviously, he's the sole jag in this championship. And I kind of feel like maybe just give people breathing room, give yourself some room to make that overtake work.
Oh, Jeffrey Wolf's had a massive smash on the front end. I think Richard Pixley and Daniel Parker are both in this race, so yeah, the sole Jaguar team here, but that looked like Jeffrey Wolf had a lot of front end damage to that Ferrari there, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely heavy damage there, and in this opening stage as well, in the opening stages of any race, when the guys are all still bunched up and you go off the track, you lose so many positions waiting for that safe rejoin. But to me it looked like Mr. Wolf would have to be going back to the pits there for some repairs, because I think that car looked pretty well beaten up. As we're going to just go back to a replay, is this of Steve Haley, I believe, a little incident he's had a couple of laps, a few moments ago.
Yeah, that's going through Island Bend. The back end steps out to the right, and then it pitches the other way. Haley rotates. That's over 720 degrees, and then the car hits the barriers. That's a wounded Ferrari right there. And Yannick Muller has done the same thing in sympathy. What is going on tonight? I mean...
Well, to be honest, Alex, Island Bend, I mean, we didn't mention it in the build-up as Muller's really struggling to get that Ferrari pointing in the right direction and get back on track, but he's eventually done that, and he's just going to have to hang it out wide at Shell Oils just to let somebody else through and complete that safe rejoin. But yeah, I mean, Island Bend, you often see a lot of cars going side by side through there, and as much as it's a slight left, it's not good. It's not a great corner. You just need the back-end brakes away, as we're going to get another replay now of another incident.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey Wolf. That's Jeffrey Wolf going through Old Hall. Okay, the run down the avenue through into Denton's. Then you've got the dip before Cascades. Okay, just keep your eyes on this. Turns in, and there's a car there. Oh, that's one of the. Oh, that was Santoro, and then one of the Jags gets compromised, and I think that was Simon Crane just before. And there's more damage. He gets turned around, hits by one of the Astons, then get pinballed by the other. I mean, Jeffrey Wolf is going to be far from happy, and that is a complete understatement, because I cannot probably repeat what he's probably thinking right now.
Absolutely. I mean, that's not what you want to see, and I'm sure the stewards are going to be acting decisively on from that incident. From what I could see there, obviously we only saw it the once, and to be honest, that was enough for me to see. I don't really want to see stuff like that, but the stewards will be reviewing that, and I think somebody will be getting some penalty points on the licence potentially. But back to the action now, on board with Ross McGregor, trying to make his recovery drive back into the top 10. He's now up into 10th as he goes over the hilltop, and he's on the run down to 𝗧𝗏𝗧, and this is where he's going to make some time up on the brakes, and he's just given himself so much work to do though. Now he's got a lot of quick guys to get past, and Oulton Park is not the place for him to get past. If we look at 𝗏𝗘𝗏 there, lost the back end, and he's going to make it very easy for 𝗦𝗘𝗕𝗏𝗏 and McGregor just to actually go up past him now as they go through Clare Hill and past the 𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗏𝗏 and into Druids Corner.
Yeah, also in the meantime, Simon Crane, Aaron, has made his way up from 20th on the grid. He's now up into P15, but he's got about 3.8 seconds to try and close up towards the back of 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the Lamborghini. Now, obviously, you raced as a teammate in Season 4 with with the 𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏. So we're now going to go to another replay. Now, this is what happened with McGregor. Oh, tries to fire it up the inside, clashes with the 223 of Rich Smith, and then sends himself spinning around 180 degrees the wrong way. Yeah, that was definitely a case of Ross just... yeah, I think at the end of the day, you can just see how badly some of these drivers want it. And Ross McGregor is like a man possessed at the moment.
Yeah, he's managed to get past 𝗦𝗘𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏. I believe he did that on the start-finish straight as maybe, or just towards Lodge Corner. I'm not quite sure, but he managed
there's
to
a
get
moment
past.
there now. Who was that?
That's Rich Smith. That's Rich Smith in the Solutions car. He was running P2. So yeah, there he is, parked up at Lodge Corner. Not quite sure what's gone on there. Sure, we'll probably get a replay, but yeah, there's incidents and accidents all over the place. And as we said, it's all about the drivers tonight, you know. And looking like I'm not sure if that's Crane or Dixon that's behind him trying to get past. He won't be happy either, because he'll feel, yeah, that's Crane. He'll feel that Rich Smith's impeding him there. But you know, it's all fair now. They're back on track and they're racing again.
Well, Aaron, I don't know what to say. Please enlighten me.
As you can see here, Rich Smith is having an absolute nightmare. Gets it all wrong going into the second chicane. Over rotates the car. He's on the grass again. It's a narrow line. He's going to have to like go on the exit lane to get round. It's what's happening here is, and it's like they're having accidents, and the damage is terminal. They don't know it yet, but the damage is terminal, because even if you don't end up in a tyre wall, your tyres are absolutely gone. They're gone, and we're not even 10 minutes into this race. They're going to have to preserve their tyres for 50 minutes, which will already have bald spots. This is completely different. I feel so sorry for all the Ferrari drivers here, because you either have to be on the throttle or you have to be braking. To try and mediate the throttle through cascades is so hard to do, and getting that twitch, I imagine, is like you get that every single time.
Yeah, Rich Smith heading into the pits now. I think he's obviously collected more damage than he has points tonight, so I think Rich will be in there hopefully for repairs and come back out to see what he can do, because there's another car off. But I think the thing to say here, Alex, is that the guys that do repair, and if they do come out with the rate of accidents we're having at the moment around Oulton Park, you can't say. And
it's Steve Riley. It's Steve Riley.
That's the other Solutions car.
Who? That is properly beached. Look, he's spinning the wheels up. It's going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Dean Riley and Rich Smith, they were both in the top three respectively. And, oh my goodness, Dean Riley's exited straight to the pits. Oh my god. But look at it this way. This has changed everything. This has really changed. I mean, we thought we were going to see a rather... I think someone said the word carnage, Aaron, on lap 1. We've had it for the first, nigh on 12 minutes of this race. I don't think it's over yet, because there are so many people trying to get the level best out of their car. 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏's, I think, he's up in P9. He's closing down on 𝗦𝗘𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the Nissan. You know, I mean, that was a hard hit earlier on in the replay that we saw for Yannick Möller. I mean, that Apex Predator Ferrari, Steve, was not exactly in fine fettle after that one.
No, absolutely, but you know, let's not lose sight of the fact that Charlie Crossland is now just over 8 seconds up in the lead. I think P2 is pretty much losing sight of Charlie Crossland. He's off into the distance and consistently lapping a good sort of half a second faster than anybody else on the track. Certainly P2, P3. P2, Pavicius in the the Porsche is doing a fantastic job of just keeping it on the track when you see everybody around him. Crane up to P13 from P20, so he's benefited massively and he's managed to avoid the accidents. And I'm sure we're just going to another replay, we're going to see another accident. This is Rich Smith in the Simsport Solutions car.
Loses the back end to the right hand side and goes spinning. So it's not just the Mercs, it's not just the Ferraris, the Mercs are having a problem as well. So Rich Smith manages to get it through the barriers. Then obviously we see he goes spinning around as well whilst trying to light up the rear tyres to get the car back on the circuit. Has to wait for the likes of 𝗪𝗔𝗓𝗏 and 𝗪𝗡𝗏𝗧, just decides, right, okay, that's it. Then Simon Crane comes along. I think this might be a little bit longer because look, Simon Crane absolutely on the back bumper. And we're going to go through into Britain's now. So Simon Crane just biding his time. Look how close he's getting up to the back of the Mercedes. Okay, they're going to go down the hill. They're going to head downhill, top down towards 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 and then into 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. Just keep your eyes, just wait, and yeah, goes in. Oh, hits way too much of the curb. Unsettles. Oh, that was close. Simon Crane, I don't think even actually, and Yannick didn't touch him at all. So that was through the over rotation, like you said there, Aaron. David Russell has just mentioned about Steve Haley's moment. He said that's taking sideways Steve to new heights. Yannick Miller has just admitted, well, that's another bent Ferrari chassis for me.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, it's it's not the best race this evening so far for the guys. It's obviously the attrition rate. We're gonna. I don't think anyone who finishes the race is going to struggle to get into the top 10 because at this rate we're only going to have 10 cars finishing. It's it's very hard. But what this does do. And he won't mind me saying it, is the likes of 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, who potentially you're normally running down 15th to 20th, he's up in the top 10 now. So it's promoting some of these other drivers. We're just going to see another replay of this. Is Dean Riley in the Simsport Solutions again, just running too wide at Island Bend, getting the wheels on the grass, and there's no coming back there. I don't think his back end snapped away from him. He was just on the wrong line of entry. He was watching his mirror, I think, too much.
Yeah. Well, also, I think I've got to add to that as well. Oh my god, he beached it by himself.
Yeah, he's just admitted that in the YouTube chat. And like literally just buries the throttle. The tyres are like literally kicking up the dust. Rich Smith says, tyres were so badly flat spotted I couldn't even get round a corner after the first spin. Didn't have a pit strategy set. Well, there was no mandatory pit stop for this race anyway because it's a 60-minute race, he said. So I just parked it after 3 spins in 1 minute. Our good friend from SRHI is with us, Aaron van der Rijn, and he said, imagine a 12-hour race here. Oh, well.
Let's not.
Let's not even think that, Aaron.
Stuff of nightmares.
And Yannick Wallace just replied with, no one would finish that, laugh out loud. Okay, Simon Crane is coming into the pits.
Well, Aaron, I mean, this just quickly. I mean, Aaron, if people don't know in the YouTube chat and are watching this video, Aaron looks after a lot of our highlights videos with 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. Aaron, you're going to have plenty of highlights to pick out.
I'm going to have a highlight reel and then a crash compilation with some, I don't know, Benny Hill music with it. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Well, you could have the Benny Hill music, or you could have the music that goes da 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 da. like, literally you have the crash where it hits the last so but yeah, I mean, in the meantime, Ross McGregor closing on Regan Mitchell. This is the battle for P4. So Ross McGregor has obviously with what happened earlier on when he had that moment going through, trying to get through into second position, going through his laps, he's now got himself back on track. He's now got himself back, and this is one of the things you said, Steve. Consistency. Ross McGregor, when he gets things going, he's like a freight train. You can't stop him in that Bentley.
Absolutely not, and he's fighting his way through, obviously through traffic at the moment. He was down in P13 or P12, I think he was at one point, and he's back up to P5 now and putting pressure on P4. So that just shows that the calibre of this man. He is a machine when it comes to putting in those lap times, and he's quick. I think the incident, just in my opinion, that took him out at his laps, I think that was his own doing. I think he was a little bit ambitious to stuff it up the inside of the Mercedes down there, but but I'm sure when we watch replays we may think differently, but first impressions, that's my feelings. But he will put the laps in, and I think we'll see him on the podium. I really do. I mean, we've got 43 minutes left. His lap times are reasonably good at the moment, bearing in mind he's chasing, he's stuck behind cars, he's making moves, and he wasn't far off Charlie Crossland's pole time, was he? It was literally 48 thousandths, was it? I think so. He's the man that can put the time in, but whether he can bridge a gap to Charlie, I'm not sure. But will Charlie keep it on the track for 42 minutes? It's a big ask, as the drivers are showing us tonight.
we've just had the background music for the crash compilation being played in our ears by our producer. That literally, I think I've just gone deaf in one ear.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of distortion there, a lot of noise. It was the politest thing to say. I think we need to get our levels checked there. But
yeah, definitely. I think I've definitely got the left ear buzzing right about now, and it's sort of like thinking my left ear's going like what, and the right ear's going, well, you can hear through this one, Alex. You're fine.
But the other thing is, can I just, sorry Aaron, just to cut over you, I've just noticed something. 𝗫𝗫𝗏 at the beginning of this race got a drive-through, and she is in P17 at the moment. So that is, I mean, considering where did she start, Alex? Can you remember? I mean, she was down, wasn't she?
I think it was around about sort of just outside of the top 20. I think it was something around 23rd, 26th, possibly.
Well, she's actually P16 now, sorry. So she served a drive-through and up to P16. So she is on fire in that McLaren this evening. I mean, P16, that's not a bad position to be in after serving a drive-through and only 19 minutes of the race gone.
Yeah, well, also, behind her, she's got Richard Pixley in the number 7 Lost Jaguar Racing Jaguar, hasn't she? So 𝗫𝗫𝗏 has got a fight on her hands. But yeah, we normally... Denise, over the time that she's joined us here at Simsport Racing, started in GT4s, then came on board with GT3. She's done an absolutely fantastic job, and that is 𝗫𝗫𝗏𝗘. So 𝗫𝗫𝗏𝗏, I think she's aiming for a top 15 finish this evening, wouldn't you say, Aaron?
Yeah, this is the best result. I was honestly about to say the same thing as Steve there about 𝗫𝗫𝗏𝗏, because we know that she's a big name in the AM side of this championship, but she's got some pace about her, and she's not been allowed to like release the shackles on her McLaren. So it's really nice to see, common sense prevailing here. It's not about getting those hot laps every lap. It's about consistency, and you can see there, just going as she goes through that first chicane there, she's avoiding the curbs. She's preserving the tyres, and that is just going to help her tremendously catch onto the back of wheels in that Honda.
I mean, she's been running consistently in the low 1 minute, mid to high 1 minute 47 or 41s. So, Steve, that just showcases how here at Simsport Racing you can actually ply your trade. We're going to go to a replay briefly, and this is that's 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧, and that's with one of the 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧 Ferraris, I believe. Oh, that's going through Britain's, and then that's Callum Cook. And then, we've got a Honda coming up rather quickly. That might be Mike Markerstein. So yeah, Callum Cook went wide, but he wasn't even pushed. But 𝗫𝗫𝗏𝗏 has really started to get some more consistency. She's done a lot more races, and I've been speaking to her. Like she does a lot. She races a lot on the sim grid as well, and she has qualified for the Sprint Cup in, I'm not too sure which split it is, but she's really happy that she's gotten into that championship. And that just shows that by starting here at Simsport Racing, it can help you to develop.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're just watching Matt Noitling's now, another Simsport regular who's putting the pressure on 𝗫𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏. He's a little way back. He's not close enough to attack at the moment, and he's going to have to start watching his mirrors. He's got 𝗪𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the other Ferrari really closing up behind him now, carrying a lot more speed than him through Druid's corner, and that's going to put the Ferrari in prime position to attack under the brakes, maybe into a lodge, but no, not this time round. He's going to concentrate on getting a good drive out as Neutling pushes maybe a little bit wide. We can see the Ferrari really trying there to get the drive now as they come over the start finish line, but I don't think he's going to be close enough now to go into Old Hall corner on the brakes. He's not. Mark's managed to survive and live to fight another day, but I think he's got more pressure behind now than he can concentrate on looking forward.
Yeah, he's got Niall Schleter and Sten Pasbon not too far behind. We're on board now with Martin Dergala, who's closing on Daniel Parker in the number 6 Silk Cut Jaguar. That's going through into Britain's. Great shot as always from our broadcast director, Mike Yao, and this is on the but it's actually on the front splitter of the Ferrari in the 458, and this is the battle over P27. A little bit of too much curve and a little bit of dust kicked up by Daniel Parker there as they're going up through Clay Hill towards 𝗏𝗏𝗧 and into the right-hander at Druid's Corner. But Aaron, like as we always see, that's a bit of a wide step to the left-hand side by Parker, and I think 𝗏𝗏𝗦 might have nearly have gotten through. He nearly did. But you can just see how hard, no matter where people are on the grid here in Simsport Racing, there are battles up and down the order.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I have to say for the Ferraris in this championship, especially Oulton Park, I think the last sector is your best chance of getting an overtake. So he missed a great opportunity there to get back on Parker. I think Parker was unsettled, doesn't want to get collected. I think it's a sensible decision, but 𝗏𝗏𝗦 looking ahead, he's got to be looking confident in that last sector, because as we've seen so far, so many Ferraris are spinning out of Cascades. If he doesn't make a mistake, I think he has made a mistake, he's going to go side by side. I hope he can get it done. I pray they don't go mono through Cascades. This is going to go... Oh no, he lets off. That is very, very sensible driving from 𝗏𝗏𝗦.
Well, that was actually through Island Bend going into Shell Oils, so... Yeah, 𝗏𝗏𝗦 actually kept it rather well pinned there. Decided to hold back. 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗡 is not too far behind, so these two are about to get another lap put down on them. You've got Regan Mitchell being hounded by Ross McGregor going through Britons, and there is 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗡 trying to get past the Ferrari of 𝗏𝗏𝗦. Blue flag's now being waved, so everyone's going to have to watch themselves as that through. Oh my goodness me, 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗡 nearly cuts across the front of Regan Mitchell there. That is pushing him further back into the clutches of the number 15 Bentley of Ross McGregor. Regan Mitchell now, Steve, well under salvo fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other man to watch is Jack Young catching 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗡 in second as well. He's only half a second off him, so things are really starting to light up now as we're nearly at halfway stage of this race. And if we hadn't seen enough action in the first 10 minutes, it's now all about the battles. McGregor weaving contact there. You can't turn in when there's a car there. Come on, Ross. But side by side through Lodge Corner, through Ďarlieb, and Ross, I think he's bullied his way into fourth place there, and he's going to now start hunting down Young in third, who's absolutely applying the pressure by the looks of this, half a second off the back of 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗡.
Yeah, this has gotten rather heated rather quickly, hasn't it, Aaron? I'm sure that Regan... Oh, a bit of a twitch there from Ross McGregor going through. That would have been through Cascades, but Regan Mitchell will now have the bit between his teeth to try and get back on level peggings with Ross McGregor there for P4.
Yeah, temper's flaring here on the track, and we've still got over 30 minutes of racing left. I have to say, though, for Ross McGregor, I can understand why he did what he did. I don't think it's particularly fair on Mitchell to kind of bump his car, unsettle the McLaren, because you can easily unsettle the McLaren in ACC. Bumped him and then drove around the outside of him. But if he's not careful, his tyres will not last, and Mitchell will be able to just reel him back in again. So I think for Mitchell, it's just a case of just waiting. Just play that long game. I think he'll get that position back, because at this rate, McGregor's tyres aren't going to last.
Yeah, very, very good point there. Steve, that was very much a more than robust manoeuvre from Ross.
Yeah, absolutely. As I 100% agree with Aaron, I think Regan just needs to settle down and race his race now. I mean, I think Ross is he's bullying his way through because he knows he needs to attack. He's made those early mistakes, and he wants to get on that podium, and he wants to be in at least P2, if not P1. But the other story of the evening, Mr. Crane, who was making great progress and was actually up into round about P12, is now back down into P23. So not quite sure what's happened to Crane, but he's dropped all the way back down to P23 now. The other man that's on the move, I've been watching on the timing boards and making up positions, is Pinchbeck. I mean, Pinchbeck, he's managed to get up to 6th place. He managed to get past Dixon a lap or two ago and started to gap him. He's pulling away from him now, albeit slightly, and he's on a charge as well. Is Pinchbeck, as we can just see him in the back of our shot now, with Dixon still trying to hang on in the Bentley, but Pinchy's got that move done and looking to go forward.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that if Charlie Crossland gets pole position, fastest lap, and also the race victory, that's a maximum score of I think I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head, Steve, with regards to how much it is for a 60-minute race in case of winning. These points...
Absolutely. I think we've just lost Alex again there, just due to a technical issue. But I mean, we can see Dixon hasn't given up on this place yet, and he's really trying to push. But I think up at the front as well, we've got Young, who is 8/10 off the back of 𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗏 in second, but McGregor is now 1.6 seconds off them, and I think that is going to turn into a 3-car battle very soon, Aaron. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, McGregor's absolutely flying, no doubt about it. I think Young's going to come under immense pressure very, very, very shortly, but it's all about how Young approaches it.
Sorry to cut across you there. That was brave. That was a lick the stamp and send it from Dixon, and Pinchbeck will be absolutely furious that he's let that happen and that Dixon had the audacity to do it to him. So Pinchbeck now lost that position again, glued to the back of that, but he will be fired up now. I know Chris and I know him very well, and he will be fired up and he will look to regain that position as quickly as he possibly can, as we can see him hanging onto the back now. Chris has just got to stay settled and not make any mistakes, because that is the root of all evil around Oulton Park, isn't it? It's just being too aggressive and just not concentrating, just losing that momentary lapse, and it can cost you everything.
Yeah, Dixon has potentially set the rules for this game of chess. He's done something like that. He's got to expect something back from Pinchbeck. Pinchbeck's got to stay with him, though. Looks like he's losing a bit of time to the back of the Bentley of Dixon. Maybe Dixon did it because he knows he's got the pace. He needs to exercise that pace early on before he loses it. And he seems to be gaining car lengths on Pinchbeck right now. Maybe Pinchbeck is just taking that kind of relaxed moment, though, just resetting himself, because I think it's really important at Oulton Park to reset yourself. Every time you're involved in an incident or an overtake, just reset yourself, get back to your lines, because you have to drive a little bit out the box, I would say. You have to drive reservedly, and it takes a little bit of concentration to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we didn't see the initial overtake from Pinchbeck on Dixon. It could have been that Dixon made a mistake, not taking anything away from Chris, but we didn't see that, so it might be that Dixon has got the legs on Pinchbeck anyway. But Pinchy will definitely be trying hard, will be charging hard, and he'll try and hang on. And as you say, we've got half this race left, so nothing's over. But what is going on up at the front? I mean, those guys are closing the gap down. McGregor's now a second off Young, and Young is just under a second off 𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗏, but 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗧 is 14 seconds back, more or less, for round figures from Crossland. Crossland is his race to lose this evening.
Yeah, Charlie's his own worst enemy right now. I kind of understand Charlie's mindset right now. He's got nothing to worry about. Just get past the back markers. He'll just be looking to set lap times. And the biggest issue with that is he's going to be looking to hot lap. Just preserve the tyres. Don't go out for any record breaking. There's no need. You're going for the points. Simon Crane is in an ideal position for you to gain a massive amount of points. You're potentially hitting the jackpot here. And all you've got to do is survive 30 minutes. Well, all you've got to do is survive 30 minutes of Oulton Park. And that's his job today. That's his only job today. And I hope that Charlie Crossland can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I both know him very well, though, and we do know that he will be looking for those green sectors, purple sectors. He will trying to make every lap faster than the last one, and he has come unstuck with that previously. As we've now seen, this is Young with McGregor in that Bentley's just full on in the mirrors now for Young, and Young is going to go now into a defensive mode, I feel, and we will just see now if McGregor is going to be quite as robust as he was at getting past Mitchell. Will he try the same with Young? As we're on the drone shot now, watching this battle unfold as McGregor is literally there. He's gaining time all the time, but it's going to come down now into Lodge Corner and head towards Deers Leap and just see if he can get close enough. I think he'll be close enough for an attack within the next lap.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Jack Young actually responds to this, whether he just lets him pass. It's potentially for podium position, right? I think they're both catching that Porsche or 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, but as a third place, you're currently in third place. I just don't think you give it up. Oulton's a great track to defend if you know how to defend it. Get your arms up high and wide, but we've seen from McGregor already, he'll push the pass. He'll hit you.
Yeah, I was going to say he doesn't mind taking a swipe at your elbows if you stick him out. He will try and he'll force the door open even if it's only ajar. But the thing is, I mean, how worried should you be now if you're 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and you can see these guys catching you now? Because I mean, look at that visually. They've closed massively within half a lap.
Yeah, if I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, for first, I'll stop hitting that curb on the inside of that first chicane, because he's losing about 0.1 psi every time he does that. So he's got to stop doing that. But he's got to. The thing is, it's so easier said than done, right? We both know this. Stop looking in your rear view, drive your lines, and then once they come really close to you, drive off the radar. Something I do. You just drive. You don't look in the rear view because you want to be looking ahead. right?
Absolutely.
But drive off that radar and try and defend as much as you can. If you feel like you're under too much pressure and the risk is not enough, well, the risk is too much for the reward, I would probably let someone pass, because you know, a 4th place is better than no place. So for me, like, you've got to make that decision. It's got to be calculated. Oh, that's a big mistake from 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 out the last corner, and that has allowed Young right on the back bumper of this Porsche. This is crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, this could play into Young's hand. If he can get an easy overtake on 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, he will then be thinking, you know, 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 may defend against McGregor. But if McGregor can stay tucked up behind Young, any mistake 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 does make, he could end up losing 2 places very, very quickly. And I would say that Porsche is probably under more pressure now than the Aston is from McGregor. He's like you say, he's pushing wide. He's hitting the apexes. He's doing what he needs to do. Young's gone wide. He's succumbed to the pressure from McGregor. And this is going to be a damage limitation, but that's a big hit, and that's just promoted quite a lot of guys up the grid, and we'll just have to see how much damage that Aston Martin has got now, as I'm pretty sure he's going to be heading straight back to the pits with that one.
He's going to the recycling point with that. There's no pits for that car. There's nothing left of it.
Absolutely, but yeah, 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 now in 2nd place, under pressure from McGregor. McGregor fighting for 2nd after being down to round about 12th or 13th, Alex. What did I say?
Very, very much the case. But obviously, the thing that's going to be the cloud that... Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. That's Simon Crane's car, and there's Jack Young's car. It takes 2 to tango, gents.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a bit of pit stop love right there for you. But Heartbreak Hotel, Heartbreak Pits. 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 now, he's got to stop making these silly little mistakes. I think you're 100% right, Aaron. I think if we took 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 out of the car now and interviewed him, he would be telling us about how much tyre pressure he's lost.
Yeah, no, you can definitely see it, and it's small incremental changes, right? We can't see it here on, like, as we're viewing the race, but you know that there's a lack of grip that comes with that. There's a lack of power at the corners. You can see McGregor looking very antsy to try and get past. 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 is going up the inside. He's going to hold it to the inside. That's probably not the ideal line, especially in the Porsche. He's going to understeer out. Is McGregor going to go right around the outside? He's going to go right around the outside. On the banking section, it's not going to work, especially not against a Porsche. Absolutely not. He's going to have to think again about that, but 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, you can definitely tell that car is suffering.
Absolutely, and the other big story of the evening, as I said earlier, Crane back down in, he was in 23rd, but he's even lower now, has just picked up a stop-go 30 from that pit stop as well, so his evening goes from bad to worse. So going back to Charlie Crossland, he does just need to bring that car home. He needs to stop hot lapping, which he isn't doing because his lap times are still insane. He just needs to bring it home, and he needs to consolidate that gap, as we are still seeing McGregor. And 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, it has to be said, doing a pretty good job of holding him back at the moment. He's positioning the Porsche where he needs to. He seems to have calmed down a little bit over the last couple of laps, where we saw him making a few mistakes when Young was behind him. He's stopped making those a little bit now. He's not running quite as hard on the curbs. He's driving defensively, no doubt about it, but he's not weaving around. He's just putting the car where he needs to be, and that Porsche is so much better coming out of the corners than the Bentley.
Sorry, go on. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, it was, sorry, I kind of crossed you there, Aaron, but I think basically because of the fact that where the engine's positioned in this 991 GT3, because it's over the rear wheels, the car, I think you might agree with me on this, Aaron, the car will get really good traction coming out of the corners.
Yeah, it depends how he's got that car set up, but you're absolutely right there. If you've got that Porsche hooked up, it is just an absolute torpedo out of every kind of like mechanical grip corner. So we're talking, we're talking both to the chicanes, we're talking islands, there's a lot of corners, not this corner, but there's a lot of corners where you can just really get that low end power out of it, and he just sets you up nicely. Or McGregor, honestly, McGregor needs to calm down. He's got to realize that, these two guys are battling away. They're 18 seconds behind Crossland. Like, realistically, in the last 25 minutes, you're probably only going to gain 2nd place. So just take it easy and pick your moment. You don't have to get ahead of him this quickly.
Oh, this is Martin Tagala. Oh, that is going off at Island Bend, and just a little bit of a love tap from the rear bumper and diffuser onto that onto that barrier there.
I tell you what, Alex, you wouldn't go far wrong setting up a Ferrari body shop at Stelloil's Corner, would you? They wouldn't have far to tow them, because that's where they've all gone off this evening.
Well, you might even get Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz if they were throwing a few Ferraris around that particular corner, would you?
Absolutely, but just throw this out there. I've just had a message off Mr. Young, who went off there, was forced off wide and hit the tyre barriers very, very hard as he went towards Shell Oil's Corner there. He's just messaged me now saying, sorry dude, car was knackered, but thanks for that. I mean, absolutely, he was running a great race in third place, and you know, we saw on stream there how hard he hit that wall, and yeah, I think it might have been a bit of a handful of a job to try and drive that back to the pits, let alone get it repaired and get back out. As we see Bentley down the inside, the Bentley go down the inside there. And I think that was a mistake, wasn't it, from 𝗦𝗫𝗔𝗏𝗧 that let that happen, really. He just seemed to miss the apex, run wide, run too deep. And, yeah, he just gave that position away as I went through Cascades.
I think you were spot on with what you said about tyre pressures earlier on in this race, Aaron, that some have been pushing like crazy, and there have been those that have been conserving quite well. I mean, we know what Charlie Crossan's like. He's 18.8 seconds up the road from Ross McGregor, so I think the victory is pretty much out of the question. But if Charlie gets the total haul of 112 points, I think Simon Crane has a little bit of worry now creeping in ahead of the season finale, which is a 2-hour race, and with that comes more points.
And Donington Park. So, you know, it's not the fastest circuit is what I was going to say though, Alex. It's another British track. Yes, it's probably a little bit kinder to the cars than Oulton Park is, but it's still not going to be the easiest track to get around. You know, it's not a high speed circuit, as none of the British tracks really are. You know, certainly not Oulton Park and Donington Park anyway. You know, it's going to be very difficult, so Crane will be ruining this evening and allowing such a big lead to be dwindled down if Charlie can finish where he currently is now after 24 laps and 21 minutes remaining in this race. But Pinchbeck and Dixon still locked together in battle here. You said earlier, Aaron, about Dixon seemed to have the legs. He did, and he pulled the gap, but Pinchbeck's hung on in there. He's still there, he's putting the pressure on, and he hasn't given up on this. And like you said, Dixon set the rules for battle between these two guys, so don't be surprised to see if Pinchbeck doesn't leave a bit of merc paint on the side of that Bentley.
I don't know if you guys remember the roller adverts where it used to say an elephant never forgets. Well, this is exactly what this is.
Are you calling Pinchbeck an elephant?
I would never do that. Never. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, like once you do something dirty, once you do something that's maybe a little bit unorthodox, slightly controversial, you know, you have to get away. You have to make your statement, get away. Dixon's not done that. He's not done that, and I think that Pinchbeck is within reach here, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pinchbeck returns a compliment here, because I think he's absolutely within his right to do so.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I mean, he's applying pressure. He's just lost a little bit of ground there to Dixon as they went through, you know, Britons and up over Hilltop. But he's proved he can hang on. He's going to make it. He's got 20 minutes left to do it, and we just see Dixon there getting all crossed up. He's really trying to get away from Pinchbeck. He's feeling the pressure, but equally so, I think Pinchbeck is driving absolutely on the limit. As we see Pinchbeck miss the odd apex, he's pushing hard, running deep a little bit, but he's really trying, and he's doing a fantastic job of taking the battle to Dixon for that 5th place. They have got 𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗏 behind in 7th, but he's a second back, and I don't think Pinchbeck will be too worried about him at the moment. He will be focused 110% on catching and passing Dixon.
Yeah, no, I have to say about that, just when we were on board there with Chris Pinchbeck, we're looking at his lines, especially through this second chicane, as we can see here. He was actually straddling this curb on the exit, and it really does feels like the car's beach. Is that a Ferrari in the wall? There was a
Ranjiv Kelsey, the works Ferrari driver, has parked it.
Well, maybe we could unpark it in the pits and wouldn't leave it there.
Absolutely, yeah, but look at Pinchbeck there through Island Bend, just running a little bit wide, not quite as tight to the apex as he could be, but albeit no harm, no foul, he's still there and still putting pressure on Dixon. Having said about 𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗏 not being too close to worry about, I think these two are actually slowing up by the fact that they're overdriving, and 𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗏 maybe he's just reeling them in ever so slightly. Yeah, that's what I was getting onto. Like, watching Pinchbeck's lines, I wouldn't say they're not conserving his tyres. He's pushing to catch that Bentley of Dixon, and by doing so, he's actually, you know, he's his own worst enemy right now. I think
the Nissan of 𝗬𝗘𝗧 can just cruise at this point, because the Bentley and the 𝗬𝗪𝗡, they're going to suffer with pressure loss, and they're just going to get absolutely roasted by this Nissan when the time comes. If they continue with this right now, that Nissan will get past these two.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's a game of consistency as well, and we've got, you know, we've just gone under the 20-minute mark, 18.5 minutes left. 𝗫𝗫𝗏 is a good, consistent driver. We have seen him make mistakes, but equally so, we've seen Dixon make mistakes as well, and there's still plenty of time for that to happen. I mean, McGregor, Crosslands are way up the road now. He's got a massive gap of 20 seconds back to McGregor. McGregor, you've got to say, has got that tied up in second place. We're just going to go to a replay now before we continue. This looks like 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗘𝗧 as he heads through 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗘𝗡 and up to, well, was supposed to go up to 𝗪𝗞𝗏𝗏, but he's just really overcooked it on the exit there. Tried to get the power down too early. He's just been a little bit greedy with the loud pedal and reversed it nicely into the tyre barrier. So end of any sort of challenge that 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗘𝗧 could have had, and looking for a safe rejoin, and yeah, gets it across the track and rejoins safely.
Yeah, I've got to say though, for 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗘𝗧, big respect, because for continuing in this race, because, and for all the people that have had accidents and continued, because there are a lot of people that haven't, and they're sat in the pits, and those are the points you can be picking up. Big props to Denise Pope right now. She's sitting in 17th position. 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗘𝗧, keep going for it, and all these, you're just going to gain points from this. There are a lot of people that will be just sat in the pits and just not interested, but you'll be able to pick up points where they should have been.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. I mean, it's all about points. You score points right down the order, pretty much, at Simsport Racing, and it makes it very interesting, because obviously it's not just about the championship win. A lot of these drivers have their own personal battles throughout the championship table. As we're looking at Niall Schleter in 10th, that's a good finish for Niall at the moment. 10th place, that's a very good position for him, with the Ferrari up ahead, only 1.3 seconds away from 9th place, as we're on board with Jackson. What was that? I need to see that from outside the car. That looked like that wasn't even lick the stamp and send it, was it? That was just throw the postage box in. It was gone, was that? Jeez.
I mean, there was no chicane. There literally was no chicane there. He just literally he straight lined that bad boy.
Yeah, no words. I mean, the words fail me for that one. We just literally seem to cut to that at the right angle, and bang, there you go. Take that one. But yeah, looking like 𝗫𝗫𝗏, he's falling away from Dixon now, and I think maybe, you know, he's started to look at 𝗬𝗘𝗧𝗧 as a threat, and he, like you say, he's overdriving that car. Maybe he's damaged those tyres a bit too much, taken too much out of them. Maybe lost the pressure, as we keep talking about this evening. But 𝗬𝗘𝗧𝗧 is looking to claim back a position that he lost earlier on in the race to 𝗫𝗫𝗏.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to really take notice that if you hit a curb wrong, or you end up on the grass somewhere, you've got to understand that the tires are affected. And they had this period of time where they're kind of like temperamental, and you've really got to take more care of them than ever, right? And I feel like the drivers, they don't think of that, and they just continue to push, like, oh, we'll get back on the track, and they'll push the car, and the car was like, no, I can't push any more than you're asking me to. Like, they've got to so you got to take it like maybe a lap or two after you've had an incident, just to regain composure, let the tires regain that composure, and then you can continue on your way. It's a very kind of, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, but it has to be done here, otherwise you're just going to end up down the order.
Just another question for you here. I'll save the question. We're going to get another replay here. I think this is the lick the stamp and send it, is it? I think yes, absolutely. Well, to be fair, it looked more dramatic on the splitter as we saw it initially, and it was just a case of slightly missed the braking point and just cut the chicane, but not quite as bad as maybe we first saw. But just a question for you here is that it looks like Dixon's had an issue, and 𝗫𝗫𝗏's right on the rear bumper of him now, and looking. This is what I'm talking about. I think Dixon keeps making small errors. I think potentially has got the lap times out on 𝗫𝗫𝗏, but he keeps making mistakes and allowing 𝗫𝗫𝗏 to catch him and get back into the race. So this is going to be interesting now, because if 𝗫𝗫𝗏 can just keep the pressure on, he's got 𝗬𝗘𝗧𝗧 behind him, so he needs to keep the pressure on Dixon, because otherwise he's going to fall back into the clutches of the Nissan. He needs to get the job done. He needs to get up into that 5th place and get the Mercedes where he wants it.
Yeah, I think that Dixon is really pushing at this Bentley right now. There's nothing else he can do. I think that 𝗫𝗫𝗏 is being very, very clever right now. He's not like going for the overtake. He's kind of pushing the car. He's pushing the person in front of him to go faster or defend or take those unnatural lines. Get that Bentley unsettled. get it to wear a bit more on the tires, and then you can execute your order perfectly, right? And I kind of feel like for the Mercedes, even though we've seen a lot of people go off on this corner, I think the high speed into shell oils, if you can get that on the inside, he'll set himself up perfectly. If you can force someone around the outside in going into shell oils, jobs are good, and because of the banking section, the camber will help.
Well, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Will 𝗬𝗘𝗘 be able to force it around up the inside or around the outside? He's taking the outside line to potentially try and get a better drive out. But when the problem is with the drive out of shell oils, there's not a lot of space to get the job done before you're into Britain's chicane. And yeah, just doing enough there to defend. But yeah, I think you're 100% right. The question I was going to ask is on the tyre wear. Will it affect the likes of the Mercedes more than, say, the Ferrari with the rear engine? Does it affect the front engine cars more when they start losing pressure on that, you know, on the front tyres in particular?
I think you'll have different effects. I think when you're talking front engine Merc, I think you're gonna get this natural understeer. You're gonna understeer more, and that's what we've seen a lot. If you think about it, going into shell oils, that high speed of the high speed corner, they've been understeering off like crazy, because they've not been looking after those front tires, mainly, probably, and they just don't have the grip. They don't have that front end grip, you know. It's not a corner where you should be braking. It's just a simple let off. And if they've not got that front end grip, they have to brake. You have to put the weight over the front end, and they've not been doing it, right? So I kind of feel like Pinchbeck's been doing a great job here.
Yeah, absolutely, as he ever is, and 𝗬𝗘𝗘𝗧 has caught him, but he's not making any moves to get past him at this moment in time. We've been riding on board in the main shot with 𝗬𝗘𝗧, who's chasing down Parker and struggling to get past him, but obviously 𝗬𝗘𝗧's had a couple of offs, and like you said, credit to the guy, he's still going, but he took Cascade so much faster than the Jag, and he's now trying to stick it up the inside of Island Bend, and I get a really bad feeling about Island Bend when they try to go through there too wide. It just doesn't bode well, does it? It never ends well. But into shell oils one more time, you see Pinchbeck trying to catch Dixon in the bottom of your screen, main screen 𝗬𝗘𝗧 on Parker, and he's closed right up to the back of Parker again as 𝗬𝗘𝗧 in that fantastically colourful liveried Ferrari. Just got his braking point wrong there, cost himself a lot of time, had to back out of it, gather it all up, and that's given Parker a little bit of breathing space. But I think within a couple of laps we'll see 𝗬𝗘𝗧 back on the back of that Jaguar again.
Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to be too harsh here for on 𝗬𝗬𝗧. I know he's a great driver within the Simsport community, but when you're looking at the two chicanes in particular, you don't want to be on the rear bumper of the car in front of you. You actually want to be slower. Let the car in front of you defend, but then you really want to go left initially, like go really left and then cut back and kind of make the second half of that chicane part of the straight in front of you. Get that run down, get the inside line into the second chicane, and that's your overtake done. I did it in the 𝗔𝗓𝗘𝗏. It does work, and he can certainly do it, but it's when they're trying to overdrive.
There we go, 𝗬𝗘𝗬𝗧. Yeah, 𝗬𝗬𝗧's obviously got the better exit of Lodge Corner through 𝗬𝗓𝗏 and now into Old Hall Corner. He's got the inside line, and that's him. He's got the job done, running very, very wide. But if he can just control that loud pedal, he's 2x2 as they now. Oh yeah, 2x2 down the avenue into Denton's and now towards Cascades, and the Park has got the position back from the outside. So fantastic driving from Parker. Never give up. Is that Ross McGregor in the background coming up to lap them?
Yeah, it is, and the thing is, unfortunately, just like Zandvoort a couple of weeks ago, I think Rangers unlocked the inner Lancia Stratos on that 458, if you ask me, by going that way off track. But yeah, I think as Aaron was saying, yeah, like literally, if you cut back and you do it the right way, you can get past drivers. And now, the biggest thing is that Ross McGregor's going to want to solidify the second position, but what he doesn't want is that 𝗬𝗬𝗧𝗏 is about, what, 3.4 seconds behind him or so? And you can see now they're going through Hilltop at pretty much the same time as 𝗬𝗬𝗧𝗏's trying to fight his way past Parker. McGregor's just going to wait and bide his time. And I think Aaron, that's probably the best strategy, because what he doesn't want to get caught up into is to these two battling side by side again like they've just done.
No,
𝗬𝗬𝗧𝗏's off in the barriers, big time there. Number 47 hits the right. That was, I think that is Rangers' race done there.
What? Yeah, that will take a lot of coming back from, and he's in a very, very dangerous position. As we've just seen Dixon running very, very much onto the inside, onto the grass, and Pinchbeck side by side. It doesn't work side by side, boys, through there. But Pinchbeck's trying to make it work, and they're both on the grass.
But Nissan's got through.
And then Nissan's gained the position, and Pinchbeck. Yeah, so that's 𝗦𝗘𝗓𝗧 gained 2 places there. Pinchbeck's gained the 1 place, and Dixon is the big loser. And I'm not sure there was absolutely any contact there. I think Dixon was trying to defend, Pinchbeck was trying to attack. They gave each other room, and both of them ended up on the grass, and just Pinchbeck came out better than Dixon. But 𝗦𝗘𝗓𝗧 gained over both of them, so 𝗦𝗘𝗓𝗧 now up to 5th place. Pinchbeck still in 6th.
You know what the funny thing was, is that Miles Dixon hit the grass, but Pinchbeck kept the throttle pinned through the gravel and literally straight lined it. So he knew exactly what he was doing. I think just that's 𝗦𝗘𝗓𝗧 that's just gone wide, and there's the 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗓 up there like a rat up a drain pipe, and they've got Miles Dixon just up ahead. So this battle now, with 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go, this is the battle for P7 on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing over, is there? There's lots of little battles going on up and down the field. But Dixon, I think, now will just be on a full. He'll be seeing red mist. He won't have liked that, and it's a mistake of his own. You know, he didn't have to run as wide as he did. Pinchbeck was, there was room between them, and it just Dixon's mistake, as well as Pinchbeck made a mistake, Dixon made a mistake. They didn't have contact, but unfortunately, he came off worse. We have seen Dixon making a few mistakes in this race, but he's now in 7th place, consolidating it, and he is the only man, I think, left on track in that Pulse Simsport team, scoring points as well, so it might close the team's championship up a little bit. Although, having said that, the Simsport Solutions, which is the esports team, I think they're both out of the race as well at the moment.
Yeah, they are, and we're going to go to a replay here. Now, this is 𝗬𝗓𝗧 again, and you just look. He goes towards the outside on this particular occasion. Now this is through into 𝗬𝗓𝗧 before the next corner at 𝗬𝗓𝗧𝗏, and you can just see that the Jaguar hits a bit too much curb. 𝗬𝗓𝗧 decides, right, now's the time to attack, and he goes 2 wheels on the grass. And the thing is that 𝗬𝗓𝗧 just keeps the throttle pinned, the right rear tags the grass, and it just sends the Ferrari spinning, and the left-hand side hits the barrier, and then all of a sudden it pinballs into the other side, and the nose just gently gives it a little bit of a kiss. I mean, like, literally, I think it's probably because Ranj kept his foot stuck in, Steve. That's why he started spinning.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's not what we want to see, because the drill is that when you lose it and you're off like that, you're supposed to hold the brakes. But obviously, these things happen so fast that all the best text and all the best guidelines aren't always followed when accidents do happen. And fortunately, from what we saw, he didn't take anybody else out. Be interesting to see how he managed to rejoin, if he did at all. But thankfully, nobody else was involved. But he's DNF'd in the pits, so he probably escaped back to pits from that one. But we're looking at 𝗦𝗓𝗓𝗧𝗏's up behind Dixon, as the 330 Ferrari has actually managed to get past Dixon. So that's a good move from him, and Dixon's evening goes from bad to worse to even worse.
Yeah, well, that means that 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗧 is actually the highest placed AM driver. Niall Schleter is just outside of the top 10. Oh, Richard Pixley has just had a drive through. That would be for track limits. And obviously, with the demands of this circuit here, Aaron, with the tightness of the circuit itself, as 𝗦𝗓𝗓𝗧's trying to get past Dixon, when you've been racing for 55 minutes, you are going to start getting tired.
Yeah, obviously the concentration around here, you have to be 100% all the time. And I've driven around here quite a few times. It's largely impossible to be on it all the time. As we see here, this is the replay between these two guys. It was kind of like the same. Oh no, we didn't see it. Oh,
well, I think basically what had happened that was Dixon ran a bit wide, and that gave an opportunity for someone to get past. So it's a shame, but the good thing is that you've got people like Evan Daffas and Denise Pope, who are respectively running in 17th and 16th. That's great. Great sort of set of results so far, with 4.5 minutes to go for the Wild Things pairing. But good spatial awareness by some of the drivers, including the Wild Things duo. They've been letting cars get past. I see in the background that 𝗬𝗪𝗡𝗧 is not that far away from Mark 𝗦𝗓𝗓𝗧, but the biggest thing here is that 𝗬𝗪𝗡𝗧 here, Steve, has got a bit of clear air for that Lamborghini, as the McLaren runs a little bit wide.
he's got a bit of clear air, but he's only got 4 minutes worth of clear air, unfortunately, you know, to make anything happen. And he's sort of nearly 5 seconds back from 𝗦𝗕𝗓𝗏. So unless 𝗦𝗕𝗓𝗏 makes a mistake, he's not got too much to worry about, I don't think. But it's you know, going back to what you were saying about the tiredness, and you know, Aaron said about concentration. I think driving around Oulton Park is just going to be, it's almost as hard as driving some of the other tracks when it's raining, and the concentration level has to go up a notch for wet conditions, because there is no respite. You just constantly, the straights are so short, you're constantly thinking about your next braking point, your next apex. There is nowhere to sort of draw breath and just chill out for even for a split second. It's literally concentration. And the back markers as well, it looks to us on the stream, I think most of them have been very, very respectful this evening, because it's a very difficult track, not only to overtake for position, but for a back marker to find the right place to give you the position to let you get past them and put the lap on them. So credit to those guys as well, because from what we've seen, it's all been pretty good this evening.
Yeah, Callum Cook looking to get past 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is for 18th position. Into the right-hander they go. And that was through the penultimate corner, Lodge corner, through Dearly. And that was a nice, clean move there by Callum Cook. Wouldn't you agree there, Aaron?
Yeah, he positioned it perfectly. The last corner definitely feels somewhat off camber, so the inside line is the best line there. If you think you're going too wide and you're on the outside, you kind of got to expect to lose that position. Oh, Dixon!
That was
scrubbing
naughty.
pain. That was disgusting, you dirty boy.
It sounds like we need some sound effects for Aaron's commentary. We need a clown horn or something. Whoa, whoa.
Hear music, everybody. Or actually, the Family Fortunes buzzer could sound good right about now.
But yeah, that
wasn't
wasn't the cleanest overtaking. You know, you've got to complete a pass before you try and take the driver's line, and that was a little bit of naughty door rubbing from Dixon. But again, he's got the move done. I think, to be fair, Dixon's obviously driving a frustrated race. He's lost a couple of positions due to his own mistakes, his own errors, and as I've said many times, I don't mean to keep banging on about it, but Dixon has made a few mistakes. I said at the beginning of the race, watch Dixon, because he does make mistakes. You know, he is a fast driver. He's a very fast driver, but I think that consistency sometimes is a little bit lacking.
Yeah, we've got just under 90 seconds of the race remaining. Charlie Crossland at the moment is currently on lap number 38, and he's making his way through to Cascade, so he'll probably, this might be his final lap depending on how quickly. So he crossed the lap. He crossed the start finish line, guys, with 1 minute and 35 seconds on the clock.
That's a challenge for Charlie now. He will, if he's got enough fuel in the tank, he'll be pushing to try and beat his best ever lap.
Oh, that is one of the Lost Jaguar racing cars. Yeah, I think you're right. That car is going way too slowly. Oh my goodness me! Or is he just getting out of the way? I think you're right there, Aaron. I think that car is not running. No, it's keeping out of the way because Sten Paspont has just been let through. So, yeah, I think Crossland has just done a 23.2 in the first sector, 45.3 in sector 2. That was the previous lap. So I think Charlie Crossland is just going to bring it home rather than go to lap 39. He's decided no. I think now's the time to finish it on lap 38. Look, he's just cruising there, Aaron, isn't he?
I mean, yeah, it's been drive sublime by Charlie Crossland. No one's phased him today. It's all been calamity behind him. He's not even had to look behind, apart from the first corner, and he comes across the line. What a great job from Crossland. Dixon.
He's going to do the final lap.
He's just literally crossed the line with 0 on the clock, and it's now gone white flag.
Great. That was my debut.
Charlie's just decided, yeah, I'm going to go for another lap. But I could do this all day sort of situation. Well, we're not going to be here all night, Charlie Crossland. Let me tell you that here on commentary.
Absolutely not, and I hope his race hasn't been too boring, because we know that Charlie doesn't always light the commentary box up, the interview room with chatter, but hopefully he's got something to talk about when we ask him the questions, because he's driven a good race, he's been sensible,
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you know, like Steve was saying, he's done a pretty flawless race tonight. You know, pole position, fastest lap, and now he's coming through his lops at the moment. Aaron, he's one step away from just sort of getting. Now, Simon Crane has to be worried going to Donington Park in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I mean, for sure, it's all on the line now, isn't it? It's coming down to the final. It's coming down to the final round. I kind of feel like Charlie's done everything he had to do today. He didn't overdrive. He knew he's got like a list, and he's ticked everything on that list, and he's not done anything extra, not done anything worse, and he's just chilled out now.
Yeah.
Great job.
Right through the final corner, through 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗡 comes Charlie Croston to take round 5 of season 5. Simon Crane, you have been put on notice, good sir. After 39 laps, Ross McGregor, having qualified alongside Charlie Croston, as 𝗬𝗏𝗡𝗏 𝗔𝗏𝗓𝗏 are trying to get his way past Miles Dixon, who looks to stay in 7th position. Ross McGregor now comes through into what will be Lodge Corner for the final time. Obviously, I'm wondering if that investigation between him and Regan Mitchell will be looked at by race control in the stewarding panel this week, but Ross McGregor provisionally takes 2nd here. But I think one of the drivers of the evening, 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧 𝗪𝗏𝗧 here, Aaron, has just taken 3rd in the Porsche 991 GT3R.
Yeah, big respect for him. We know that, you know, he went into an immense battle. I think it was down turn 2 with McGregor. He just let McGregor pass, didn't want anything to do with it. He secured himself a podium position. I think it's a great job as well, because Mitchell's a fast guy. If you start battling, Mitchell's just going to catch up really, really quickly. So great 3rd place for 𝗪𝗏𝗧. Yeah,
so it's just effectively one of those things. But Miles Dixon will hang on to 7th position ahead of the highest placed AM driver, as Stephen Haley. I think I think he should be called Spinning Steve, not Sideways Steve anymore after that off-track excursion. But he still brings it home behind Niall Schleter, who I think that is his best recorded effort here on Simsport Racing. But that was one hell of a race there, guys. Wow.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You know, I mean, there was battling from start to finish there. Obviously, we had all the incidents in the first 10 minutes that made it look very, very interesting, and it looked like we were going to struggle to get cars to finish. But once they settled down, the racing was absolutely awesome, wasn't it? I mean, there was some good defending, good attacking, some drivers conserving tyres, but some drivers throwing caution to the wind and really just attacking the curbs and potentially paying the price, I think, Aaron.
Yeah, I have to say, absolute mastermind play as well by 𝗦𝗘𝗓𝗏. I did say it at the beginning. He started P11, he finished P5. He was kind of like the grey man on the track, just kept himself out of trouble, and he was just picking up places in the Nissan. And that's a great result, P5 in the Nissan for him. So big respect for him out there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think hopefully we're going to get some of the guys down for an interview. But you know, with only sort of one more round to go, which is Donington Park, there's going to be a lot to play for Charlie. I mean, he's done what he needed to do there tonight. He's scored as many points as he could. He's maximised it. I think he will have got the fastest lap. He got pole position, so he couldn't have done any more, and he didn't. You know, he didn't stop pushing the whole race either. That's the amazing thing with Charlie. He just always pushes it flat out all of the time.
Yeah, I think realistically, when we get to Donington Park in a couple of weeks' time, you know, that's 2 hours. It's all or nothing for Charlie Croston. And now Simon Crane knows that that is where his biggest competitor is coming from. You've also got to factor in some respects, Ross McGregor, who could secure a top 3 at the end of this season, despite not having competed in every single race. And that's the biggest thing here. Ross McGregor could get into the top 3 rather easily, and he's been there or thereabouts. Regan Mitchell has always been in the sharp end of the field. We know that, guys. But it's just about what happens between Crane and Crossland in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, Simon Crane will be he'll be disappointed with this evening's results. You know, obviously he was out of it right at the beginning. Qualifying didn't go his way, and the race certainly didn't go his way. And we saw him in the pits on a couple of occasions. Then a stop-go 30 as well. So we don't really know what befell him. Obviously, he's had incidents that's made him had to have a pit stop, but that's an evening for him to forget, I think, tonight. And it's Crossland's taken a massive chunk out of his lead.
Yeah, I think we've got some drivers waiting down. Shall we head down, Steve, and speak to them, shall we?
Yeah, let's nip down into Discord and have a quick chat with the guys.
Okay, well, first up, let's have a chat with our race winner, Charlie Crossland. A perfect sweep this evening, young man. Congratulations, first of all. Now you've got a real chance at the championship in 2 weeks at Donington Park. How are you feeling after that?
I'm feeling fine. I'm just having a Sunday cruise.
That's the perfect way of putting it, but that Mercedes was absolute dynamite. You literally put that warning shot across the bow for Simon Crane. I think you probably can feel your ears burning right now that you've got a real chance at this championship in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do. It's just Donington is my track as well. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
How worried were you in qualifying, Charlie, when Ross was really starting to put the pressure on you? It was 48 thousandths of a second you got pole position, but that was pretty close, wasn't it? We were thinking that if Ross could keep it tight on the track, there could have been a good battle there. Were you worried about Ross at any point?
No, I was fine. I did that time in fast conditions. I just couldn't get space in qualifying.
So you had a bit more time in hand, really, is what you're saying. If you could have got the space on Optimum, you'd have gone a bit quicker still. We did see, to be fair, that on one of your relatives, you were around about a tenth up at one point. So yeah, we could have seen some improvement. But going to Donington now, it's for yourself, it's going to have to be flat out, isn't it? You're going to have to try and do a repeat of tonight. In 2 weeks' time at Donington to beat Crane. Obviously, still got the advantage on points on you, but it's not out of the question.
Yeah, I don't think the gap will be that big now. I reckon it'll be less than 10 points, surely.
But it's still going to be, like I say, it's going to be all to do because Simon Crane, he's had a bad round this evening, which you've taken full advantage of, but he hasn't had many other bad rounds, so I think he's really going to come out of the box fighting at Donington Park. So it's looking like we're going to have a good showdown, and it's a 2-hour race. Will you attack a 2-hour race any differently to the 60 minutes you've done tonight, or will it just be flat out from lights out to the checkered flag?
I'll be able to go a lot more aggressive. This race, I just didn't want to hit any curbs, so I can actually push next race. Yeah,
well done, Charlie. Great drive this evening, because it was difficult. A lot of drivers succumbed to the pressure, and a lot of drivers exited stage right and stage left into the pits with damage, so you did a really good job to bring home such a dominant win tonight. So well done, mate, and good luck for 2 weeks' time at Donington.
Thanks.
Okay, so big thanks to Charlie there. Next up, we'll go to 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧 Povilitis, our leading Porsche driver, P3 at the end of that 𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧. You were very, very consistent, but that must have been a tough race around Oulton Park.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I might sound boring, but my main goal was just to finish the race. I wasn't. I had at least half a second per lap of pace more, but it was my first time ever racing in Oulton Park, so actually today I gained all the track medals and things like that. So I just wanted to dodge all the bullets, and have seen quite a few next to me. So I was quite lucky, and on the same time, maybe next time I would on the same track, maybe I would put some more pressure for Charlie. But just for this time, it's a little bit too early, I guess.
What do you think of the track itself from its characteristics? Very, very. It's a little bit of a nice match with the Porsche, isn't it?
I'd say definitely Porsche. I felt the car quite easily to handle, basically, and in that parts where it is quite dangerous to drive, but the Porsche is quite good in handling it. So it's I guess the Porsche is the best car to choose for this track, I guess. So.
Well, you say that, man. I'm really jealous that you've only just gained your track medals and you put on a performance like that around Oulton Park, because a couple of weeks ago I spent a couple of hours one Saturday evening in the Porsche, which I was saying to the guys earlier is one of my favourite cars within this sim, and I struggled to get a clean lap in it. Every time I touched the curbs, the car was swapping ends, and I was getting very, very frustrated with the car and finding it very difficult to get the right setup. So absolute credit to you, mate. If that's your first real race on Oulton Park and you've just gained your track medals today, hats off, mate. That is an absolutely fantastic performance tonight.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that I finished up that high, but yeah, seeing some people just bidding next to myself, I guess that's the reason why I ended up that high.
Yeah, fantastic. And will you be with us in 2 weeks' time for Donington Park for the 2 hours of Donington, the final round?
I will try. I will have endurance race on the same day, so I will try my best to keep to be there. But also, I will need to learn the track as well.
You can practice then, Mantas, at the end of it all. But no, well done tonight, Mantas. Congratulations, and obviously a great job in the Porsche. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, and also, well, our the remainder of our top three, actually our runner-up tonight, who's had basically your race has been up and down like a yo-yo, Ross McGregor, tonight, hasn't it?
An absolute mare. First lap, I made 2 mistakes where 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗧 lost second place, and I have to apologise to Mr. Smith for trying that over-optimistic move. I came off worst, so you know, fair enough. And also have to apologise to Mark. The rejoin is a bit marginal, but I gave him the position back, so hopefully that's okay. After that, I was 12th, I think, and then I just started making my way through the pack, and it was so difficult to overtake at Oulton Park. It was just nose to tail, and it was an absolute nightmare. And I was driving terribly, and I got a puncture, and I was just struggling so badly.
I have to apologise, Ross, because I think it was the old commentator's curse. Because when Alex said who we're tipping for this race after qualifying, I put all my wages and the mortgage on you, mate. I was Ross for me. He's on the front row. We know what a hard charge you can be coming through the pack. So we sort of we're thinking, you know, when you've got clear air and you've just got Charlie, I thought, you know, it's money in the bank almost. But yeah, he just had a couple of incidents. The Bentley looked very loose from the start. You know, I mean, coming through Cascade, you lost the back end and you lost second place pretty much straight away down there. You know, was it a bit of a handful on the opening laps more than until it got settled down?
It was a handful from, say, like the first minute to the 60th minute. Apart from that, it was fine. No, it was terrible. I just used a setup. I used the Brands Hatch and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from a different series. And yeah, I thought it'd be okay, but the bumps just kind of make it a bit more difficult. Speaking of track medals as well, our previous speaker, I also got my track medals for Oulton Park the hour before the race, so it was a little bit of an unknown, but it was so difficult in these cars and on ACC, much more difficult than what I thought, just with the bumps and the curbs. So yeah, I probably wouldn't pick the penalty again, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. It is a difficult track. It's a very narrow track, and it's probably we've raced the 𝗦𝗓𝗔𝗏𝗏𝗏s and the GT4s around here, and I think it's more suited to that class of car, really. But you all did a really good job. There was a lot of people falling off the track around everybody tonight, but you've still got a chance to cement a reasonable position in this championship in 2 weeks' time at Donington. Will you be attending that round, the 2 hours of Donington?
Yep, almost certainly.
Good stuff. So, I would say, so what's going to be the plan? What's the game plan there? Just to basically qualify as well as you can and charge hard from the front, or will there be anything different to do there? And is it a case of looking at who you're battling with in the championship and maybe have a bit more of a measured race, as it were?
I've no idea who I'm battling in the championship. So I don't know if the Bentley's any good at Donington. A lot will depend on that. So. Yeah, just try my best. Hopefully get more than like a 45-minute practice beforehand to get up to speed, and then yeah, see how it goes.
Oh, congratulations on tonight's performance, mate. I know it wasn't what you were wanting, and it wasn't what I expected, but it was a fantastic recovery drive from those early incidents, mate. And yeah, credit to you, buddy. It was a good drive in the end.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
Cheers, Ross.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, that was very, very sincere from Ross McGregor when he openly admitted, "I've had an absolute mare."
Yeah, absolutely. You know, with Ross, when you're interviewing him and the likes of John Munro and whatnot, you get the honesty. You know, there's no, don't hide behind anything. They tell you how it is and what sort of a race they've had, and you know they've made a mistake. They've made mistakes, and it's nice to you know, hear Ross there apologising to Rich Smith on that move we saw, and we said he was a bit ambitious when he tried to dive down the inside. But you know, hats off to him. He apologised, and that's the type of guy he is. But fantastic recovery drive from him. Fantastic drive from Charlie Crossland to take the win. Just some good driving from the top guys, and Pinchbeck and those guys that were battling away. There was so many people fighting, and Kelsey, I know he DNF'd, but he had quite a few incidents, and he tried so hard to keep going. It was again, credit to those guys.
Yeah, Aaron, this is what we want. We want a championship to go down to the wire, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. You've got what you've asked for, really. It's going to come all the way down to Donington. It's amazing hearing these interviews, and they're saying that, I actually got my track medals within the during the race. It's just like, so you've never driven this before? It's like, no.
Amazing's not the word I would use, but I'm just very, very jealous that they can come and do that. I can spend a week practicing and they'll still be beating me with 45 minutes practice. But yeah, that just shows the talent that we've got on the grid at Simsport Racing in these recent events, and over the last 12 months, that's what we've built up to some fantastic drivers on the grid now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the community still continues to grow as well. We've got over 760 members on our Discord server as well, Steve. So that just shows that the proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely, yeah, and we've got more championships running now than ever. We've got the 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗡𝗏s GT4s next Sunday night, which is great stuff. We've got the GT4s on Wednesday, which are coming from Donington Park, as you can see there. Then going to Monza, Suzuka, Hungary, and Silverstone. So a fantastic GT4 season in the offing there, running every Wednesday evening, which is live streamed and broadcast. So just if you want to get involved, go over to the website www.simsport-racing.com. You can find all the social media connections on there, but the important one is the Discord link. If you hit that one up and get into our Discord community, there'll be somebody there that can chat with you, have a talk if you've got any questions, but more importantly, there's information on there about championships and how you can get involved with us and how you can get on the grid, and maybe you can get your track medals and we'll be interviewing you on the podium. Who knows?
Indeed, as long as next time when any DLC content gets released by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, you don't leave it a month to download it. But the thing is that is what we want. 2 weeks' time, Donington Park, Leicestershire. We have the 2-hour finale of season 5. It's Crane versus Crossland for glory in the driver's title. So on behalf of 𝗟𝗜𝗞𝗘, his first time in the commentary box here on Simsport Racing, as always, Steve Proudley. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. Thank you for watching. Good night.